Things are not equal for people of color in our world, and right now, down to the air we breathe.
Sean Gallagher shows us how advocacy groups focus on making environmental change and how they're taking time to look at themselves.
The conservation field is overwhelmingly white, and without the voices of people of color, their communities are often disconnected from environmental practices.
People of color are significantly disproportionately impacted by the effects of environmental injustice.
August Marie Ball is the founder and CEO of Cream City Conservation. Her goal is to make conservation more diverse and inclusive.
We have to be able to identify what sort of policies and practices have kept us racially homogenous all this time, and then work backwards. That's what I try to do as an educator.
Communities of color face higher environmental health risks. Flint, Michigan laid bare to the disparities between white and black families with exposure to lead poisoning in drinking water. The Centers for Disease Control say black children are twice as likely as white children to have elevated levels of lead in their blood. August Marie says including more people of color in the conversation can help fix problems like this.
When you have a plethora of perspectives and experiences by which to choose from, you're able to have less blind spots, you're able to be more innovative, and you're able to anticipate problems more effectively.
Disparities can even be seen in the air we breathe. The Environmental Protection Agency says black people are exposed to 1.5 times more air pollution than white people. August Marie says in order to change that fact, the people making the plans need to be diverse.
It's very much so a white frame, right? It's a very white lens that we're using that language of, when in reality, the key problem is that historically people of color have been receiving the message that they are not welcome in the industry.
We recognize that these have been overwhelmingly fields of study that have been limited to whites, not by policy, but certainly by history.
Fred Clark with the conservation group Wisconsin's Green Fire invited August Marie to talk to its members on this topic Wednesday. A recent study found only 30% of employees in the top environmental agencies and funding groups are people of color. Clark wants that to change.
But it certainly still does not reflect the diversity of our population. And I think now for the first time we're beginning to have explicit conversations about why that is and what we could think about doing differently to help change that.
That kind of change is what August Marie hopes will have lasting positive impacts on communities of color.
It's my hope that the next brown girl that decides that she wants to go into this field doesn't feel the way I felt when I first entered into it, being very alone, and yeah, I want every young brown girl and black girl to know that their perspectives are needed.
Wisconsin's Green Fire is holding another webinar next week devoted to racial and environmental injustice. We'll have information on how you can get involved over at tmj4.com. Just click on this story. In Milwaukee, Sean Gallagher, TMJ4 News.